Good evening, everybody. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the South Haven City Council for Monday, August the 17th, 2020. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We will begin this evening with a roll call.
Jeff Arnold.
I'm here.
Chris Campbell.
Here.
Joe Reeser.
Here.
Steve Schlack.
Here.
George Sleeper.
Here.
Patricia Wilkins.
Here.
Scott Smith.
Here. That takes us to the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. This is Steve Schlack.
George Sleeper, I second.
Very good. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Additions? Nothing. Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Arnold.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Reeser.
Yes.
Schlack.
Yes.
Sleeper.
Yes.
Wilkins.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Before we get on to the rest of the agenda, our County Commissioner Gail Patterson would like to give us a quick update. If we can patch her through.
Hi, Gail. This is Kate. You're on with the council if you want to give your update.
Yes, hello. This is Gail Patterson Glandy, Van Buren County District 1 Commissioner, and I have some news from the county. First, there's going to be elevator improvements, and the commissioners approved a contract with Otis Elevator Company. The elevator in the annex is outdated and needs significant improvement. So a stair lift will be placed in the courthouse entry to provide access to the courthouse and annex while the elevator is being repaired. The total cost is $113,732, of which $75,985 is for the elevator repair and $37,747 is for the stair lift. The local emergency planning committee requested permission to hire Steve Smith to update site plans for agricultural farms who use hazardous materials in their operations. This report, as required by the EPA and DNR, is extremely useful to first responders in our county, and a grant of $2,500 comes with the project. And the commissioners voted to approve that. We approved that contract. I'd like to mention that in Van Buren County, there are, as of this morning, 458 confirmed cases of the COVID-19, and then 50 probable, so the total would be 508. There's 12 confirmed deaths and a probable 1, so that would be a total of 13. Governor Whitmer announced the Michigan Mask Aid, $4 million free masks to protect vulnerable populations from the COVID-19. And I don't know if you have heard that announcement. I think it's been on TV also. But the 4 million free masks are being provided to Michigan residents who are the most vulnerable to COVID-19. And they're being provided by a partnership with the state, Ford Motor Company, and the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. And Governor Whitmer had announced that. I'd just like to mention that the Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency, who will be distributing some of the masks in our area, have not received those masks yet. And they're getting numerous calls. But what I would like to do is send you information as soon as they have the mask, so I could send that to the city manager or to the mayor, and then you could let the public know. But as of now, as of today, they don't have those masks yet. So, does anyone have any questions about the Mask Up Michigan campaign or any of the other items I mentioned?
I've got nobody, so, nope, yeah, it looks like the answer is no. So yeah, keep us updated on the masks, and we will come up with a plan to get those distributed.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Gail,
Gail.
appreciate it.
Goodbye. Bye. You're welcome.
The next item,
Approval of the agenda.
oh, that's true, we got ahead one, didn't we? I'll look at the approved agenda.
Yeah, we did.
We did?
Yeah, we did the agenda.
Oh,
We did the
my
agenda. Oh, I was
apologies.
just trying to mix
My
me up.
apologies.
All right. So, consent agenda, items A through E. Just need a motion and a second.
George
Steve
Sleeper,
Slack,
I
I'll
make a motion. I'll make a motion for the consent agenda, items A through D.
I guess through E.
George Sleeper, I second.
All right, just to clarify, that was A through E, as in Edward.
Yes, A through E, please.
Perfect. All right, motion and a second, and that, there's no discussion. We will have a roll call.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Schlack,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Cousins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes. Next item, I think we can take these together. I'll read them both off. City Council will be asked to consider the following special event applications. Special event 2020-19. Should be 2020. Oh, I guess it'll be 2020, even though it's 2021. So
Right,
sorry.
right.
2020-19 Blueberry Craft Fair 2021 to be held from August 13th to August 15th, 2021 in Stanley Johnson Park. Yes, those are 2021. Special event 2020-20 All Crafts Fair 2021 to be held from September 3rd to September 5th, 2021 in Stanley Johnson Park. So, want to get a motion in a second. As many of us know, those are the same sponsor, whatnot, but then we can talk about them.
George Sleeper, I make a motion to approve special events 2020-19 and 2020-20.
Letitia
This is
Wilson,
Steve
second.
Slack, I'll second.
Perfect. Motion and a second. Do you have the update, or I don't know if we're getting anybody joining us on the line tonight, or?
Yes, do you want me to talk first or just take the caller first?
Why don't you go ahead and talk about it? That's
Okay.
fine. Let's go ahead and do that. And I don't know if
Okay.
Kathy's on the phone too, or?
I'm not sure if Kathy's calling in. She had this will be her first vacation in about 10 or 15 years. So,
Okay.
just to kind of brief the council, these are pretty standard events to have. This year they were canceled because of COVID, but this is a group that usually gets their applications in really early. This is the Blueberry Craft Fair and the All Craft Fair, and run by the chamber. And as you can see, it's a pretty expansive layout. Of course, this kind of presumes that there would be no COVID. There is vehicle parking on site, but most of the vehicles from vendors is off site on Park Avenue, as well as other surrounding streets. This is a successful event that's been run pretty standard, pretty well by the chamber. They always do a good job with both the All Craft Fair and the Blueberry Craft Fair. They have their own. They provide nonprofit space for the Boy Scouts, and they do their own overnight security and portable restrooms.
Very good. All right. So we have a motion and a second. We also now need some public comment. We have one person from the public who's making a call in. So we want to patch them through.
Yep.
And the number is 637-0777. If anybody else wants to call in, public comment, 637-0777. That's for all public comment.
Hello, caller. You're on with the council. If you can state your name, and then when you're done with your 5 minutes, if you can say you're done with your comments.
All right. My name is Joe Ashen. Am I on the air?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yep. Hello, Joe.
Okay. Joe Ashen, third generation South Haven, Northside South Haven resident. I'll tell you why I'm calling. I was at a meeting, it was a few weeks ago, and Joe Reeser brought up a point which I thought was pretty interesting. and I think it's interesting for a couple of reasons about the park. And one is that it'd be a great idea to have this festival downtown, and that we have a huge area downtown. We have a big parking lot downtown. It would bring a lot of potential customers downtown, a lot of cash to downtown. And the other thing is the park, it seems like it's kind of being overutilized in that way of having these festivals in it. It was never designed for that. And it is, all those cars on it are actually doing damage to the trees. They will, in the long term, cause a lot of damage to the trees. If you really feel you need to have that in the park rather than downtown, which I think would be a much better venue, the downtown, because there's parking and it would not interfere with all the traffic from the bridge, et cetera, et cetera. I think if you are going to do it, you should ban cars from the park. That's my comment. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other
comments? Let's find out.
comments?
There's no other comments right now, sir.
Okay. So let's go ahead and let's take some council comments. Any comments on these two items? Seeing none. Yeah, they're well-run events. I appreciate Joe's comments on the grass and the parking. I know it's very limited. We've parked cars up there as Boy Scouts for years. I think the merchants would not be happy if we pushed all that traffic downtown. I think that could be a definite. That obviously, if they ever came to us and said, "Hey, let's look at an alternative," that would be a discussion for Kathy and the merchants. But I know that would be a lot of extra traffic versus spreading it out. So I'm in favor of it as is for right now, unless there's a push by the merchants and the organizer.
Okay.
So you got a motion. We got a second. Let's do a roll call.
Reeser,
Yes.
Schlett,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes. Next item, City Council will be asked to consider a proposal, Ms. Monique Crowley, for the placement of a Black Lives Matter mural to be painted along Phoenix Street in front of City Hall. And rather than, I'm going to hold on a motion a second for right now, because I guess I'd like to hear, do we have Ms. Crowley, is she going to be calling in tonight, or?
She just emailed me to say that she can't see tonight's agenda or the live broadcast. I'm not really sure why she can't see from there, but I can call her on my phone if you'd like.
I mean, it's up to her. I just didn't know if she was going to speak to it. I mean, you can obviously speak to it. I thought I'd rather just have some discussion amongst the council before we seek any motions to even see if this is something that's going to make it to that point. So
Okay.
I would just, if the group is willing, do we want to give her a chance to call in, or do you feel comfortable presenting on her behalf?
I can explain what has been presented to us, but I would like to give her the forum if she, because I know this is a unique, and if you've never called in before, I can give her a call and we can ask for her to briefly summarize her thoughts.
That would work.
Council members, as you know, this is a request that was submitted to staff on Monday. Ms. Crowley is asking for approval to paint Black Lives Matter on the westbound lane in front of Phoenix Street in front of City Hall. She would say it would go no further than the expanse of the building. She also says that the final drawing would be submitted for your approval. She says that she has much support in the community for this mural. And you can see her letter and the proposed mural in the packet. Now there is a number of concerns that staff have with painting painting travel lanes. We have concerns about safety and whatnot for that. We also want to make sure that we're getting an adequate amount of public input. This is I think a large, well, it's a pretty substantial ask, and I think that we've started to hear some public comments, but more may be needed.
Sounds good. So you can get a hold of her and see if she wants to say anything. That sounds good to the group. I just wanted the individual that made the request to have a chance to speak if she wants to.
Mr. Mayor, I was wondering too, this is Steve Flack, wondering too if we would want to ask for public comment because it's on the agenda if you want to ask public call-ins first.
Yeah, that's fair. So 6370777. Any public comment at all on this topic? I guess we'll gather all of that. We're waiting for a moment to see if Ms. Crowley will pick up or she's interested in calling in. But yeah, public comment 6370777 on this proposal. We'll take it.
I have her number, but apparently it's not in here, so let me see if I can find it.
And then after about a minute, we should get on with the council comment here. I don't want to sit here and just wait.
We've got one caller so far if you want to put them through.
Yep, go ahead and put them through.
Hello, caller. You're on with the council. If you can state your name and your address, you've got 5 minutes.
Thank you. This is David Veenstra. Am I on yet or not?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
You're on.
Okay, thank you. David Veenstra calling from 1220 Monroe Boulevard, and I would like to express my support for this concept. It's something that a number of Michigan cities have already done. I believe Benton Harbor, possibly St. Joe, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek have already done. And I think it would be a great welcoming gesture for the community, a good message to send. And I think that's about all.
Very good. Thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you.
No more comments.
All right, that's it on comments, and you're not signing a number, so go to council comments. All right. Why don't we go ahead and let's go ahead and hear from council members on this one, because this is a unique ask, and again, this is up for discussion.
Mayor?
Yeah, Joe.
I clearly support the Black Lives Matter and the Black community as well as all minorities, regardless of age, race, religion, sexual orientation, and income. Black Lives Matter should be noted that it is a social, not a political movement. But the big question here is not whether I or we support it. I feel we need to know more from the community. What does the community want? How does the community want to express diversity and equality? So I think it needs more input from the community, and then we can vote on it later. But I think right now I can't support it because I don't have enough information. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe. Anybody else?
Chris Campbell.
George.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, shoot, I'm on.
George, go ahead.
You want to go, George?
Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say I'm with Joe on that. I think we need to have more input first.
Okay, sounds good. George.
So kind of along those same lines, I know that we have put other objects of art in our downtown area, and I would suggest that maybe we follow the same process for this, whatever kind of committee or whatever is involved with the placement of art in the downtown area. That might get the community input that we're looking for, and also kind of keep us in process with works of art that we have done in the past.
Agree, thank you. Anybody else?
I have Miss Crowley's number now if you want it. If you want to call it, if you want
I
to.
figured she would have called in, that's fine, I think. Feel good. Anybody else? Nobody else? All right, I'll jump in real quick. So, I
Mr.
know,
Mayor?
Bill Hunter, you're on the phone. Oh, yes, sir.
I was just gonna make a comment, but I didn't know if you had another caller or something, but, my feeling on it is I agree with what has been said so far, but I also, would be scared of setting a precedent, on the city street for itself being on the street. I recognize that we have other artwork in town, but I wouldn't want to set the precedent that our streets are up for, advertisements or artwork or anything like that. With the closing the street down for 72 hours, I would have an issue with that. And I would also have an issue of making it more of a permanent, marking as well. I would be fearful of the precedent that it would set. And that's my comments for now. Thanks.
Very good, thank you. All right, there's no one else. So Bill Hunter, I feel you can hear me. I have a few comments, but I'll also defer to Bill. I definitely have concerns about safety relative to marking on streets. I mean, there's a reason we have standardized street colors, street symbols and whatnot. It's because we learn to look for those symbols. The minute we create visual distraction, I'm concerned that people are going to no longer pay attention to what they're supposed to be paying attention to, and they're going to be looking at the artwork on the road. So I've never been a fan of marking up our street. Again, the word precedent was used. I agree 100%. We don't allow people to permanently mark roads for a reason. I mean, we've had that issue with some of the races, the 5Ks and whatnot, where they've spray painted the roads, and I've expressed my concern about that for many years. So I do not like the thought of permanently marking up a street. So, Bill, I'll defer to you I'll have you come back in a second. One would be on the safety traffic concerns. The other one is the gift policy. We do have a policy for gifts, and I think this would be a good example of where this would be a gift. So maybe maybe not a street, maybe another location. I think that's possible. So you just want to share with us your thoughts on the street safety as well as just the gift policy?
Yes, I'll start with the street safety. The streets are, of course, we use, and every city uses this, in the state of Michigan, the Michigan Manual for Uniform Traffic Code and Devices, edition 2009. So in there actually regulates, for example, how far stop bars are from crosswalks, actually the reflectivity of the pavement marking, the exact dimensions of the signs, even the size of the font on the signs. Everything is closely regulated, because if something does happen to somebody, the first thing what happens is any lawyer with any kind of, that's the first thing they do. They start looking at the manual, see what safety code devices you have. See if maybe the last time you rebuilt that road, you didn't build it towards the manual or use some kind of alternate color or means. The mayor made a good point. Initially, when we looked at this request, my biggest concern was I looked at, of course, what kind of paint they were using. That was typical, what they were using for sealer. Plus, another concern of mine is I didn't want anything, the center of the center lane couldn't be painted over, and neither could the crosswalk. I did, however, I did some more research. And online, I've actually found a memo from the Federal Highway Administration dating back to 2013. And in there, it actually is, a memo was set up for murals, just like this. And it made its conclusion at the very end, and I'll read this to you. If colored pavement is used to regulate, warn, or guide traffic or otherwise attempts to communicate to road users, the colored pavement constitutes a traffic control device. Agencies cannot intentionally exclude elements of reflectivity as a part of the semantic process to classify the color pavement as purely aesthetic treatment or circumvent the provisions of Chapter 30, meaning actually it would have to meet the minimum reflectivity. It goes on actually, and it mentions actually paragraph 3 of the manual, section 30.01. And I'll skip back to this part, interim approval. In the right of disallowed, if the colors, it basically says if you're trying to intentionally communicate to the users of the road, it needs to meet the manual. So, and also states in there, I'm sorry, it has to be either white or yellow or white. So you only have the two colors. So if we're trying to communicate to the road users on the road, then it has to be only two colors. So that's from the Federal Highway. It's just a memo. It's not in the manual. So it's just a memo that somebody did some research. And that's about the only thing I could find on there. Again, going back, my biggest concern is safety. I can't have anything painted in the crosswalk, and we have to have those lines exposed, the center lines. Now, answering your question on the gift policy, the life of paint is about 1 year, and that's all what we're talking about here. As soon as they paint this thing, I've got 5-ton dump trucks that are going to be going through there plowing, and there's not going to be much of it left. So the life of this one is maybe a year tops. And we got to look at the pavement itself. The pavement itself is concrete. Concrete is very porous. So whatever we paint on there, it will be there. Even if we decide a year from now, nobody's maintaining it, say, for example, it's still going to be there. You're still going to see it for the next, 20 years. And the only way to get it out in the pores of the paint would be to mill it down. You can't wash it. It's just, it's concrete. It's porous. The best bet with any kind of paint, if you wanted to get it off, would be on asphalt. Does that answer your question, sir?
And so finally, yeah, that's good. And then the gift policy, like if someone's going to gift like something, if they wanted to gift a different, like let's say it was on a wall or something, how would the policy work in that regard? They still have to maintain it, and how does that work?
We can actually do little separate maintenance agreements with them. That's what we can do. So something this unique, I would recommend doing that, going to the appropriate boards, of course, but having a special how you plan on maintaining it.
Okay. Sounds good. I think we got one more caller to call in. This will be our last public comment. So I feel like we'll cut it off after this one, and then we'll see if we have any interest in a motion. If not, go ahead.
Okay, we'll have them send it on up. Another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the line with the council. If you can state your name and then your address. You might want to turn down your TV because you won't be able to be heard.
Wendy Onuki, 315 Prospect Street.
Okay. And you've got 5 minutes. Just state when you're done with your comments, and go ahead and talk to the council.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say, mural or no mural, I know there's a lot of discussion on all ends of it for different reasons, logistics, and also retribution that would come from or directed at the Black community if it's a real concern for some people. But what I want to know, and I would like for you all to think about, is what is the city doing to show that they do care about Black lives? I know there was a presence at the march. I haven't seen a lot of action since then. I know there was also the report from Kim Wise on diversity and inclusion that was really awesome and had some really solid steps that the city could take to show that they really do care. This is important to them. So whether you decide to do the mural or not, I think it's really important to step back and think, what else can you be doing to help send this message that Black lives do matter to you and to the city. So that is my comment. Thank you all for listening.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. That's it for public comments. If any other council comments or any motions at this time? If I hear nothing, George Sleeper, go ahead.
Yeah, I had another question that just popped into my head. So the first caller, Mr. Veenstra, had mentioned a number of other communities that have done this. Would it be possible for us to reach out to see how they did at some of the other nearby communities and maybe see how they handled some of the concerns that we've talked about already?
That's a good point.
This is Chris
Small
Campbell. Also, I went through and looked up some other cities that did do the mural. The mural was put in usually the fifth lane, the turning lane, to help remove some of the confusion. The only problem with downtown is we only have 2 lanes, so that could be an issue in itself.
That's not true. Some of them have 2 lanes.
I would tend to agree. It's not a good location. I would tend to agree. So, all right. Any other questions, comments, or motions on this issue?
Your Mayor?
Yes. Go ahead, Joe.
I hope Mrs. Crowley or Ms. Crowley doesn't take if we turn this down, as a rejection of Black Lives Matter. On the contrary, I think the city and the residents overwhelmingly support it, as was proven during the march when almost 1,000 people marched. I just think we have to find a better way to express our views on Black Lives Matter, and maybe Mrs. Crowley and Ms. Crowley can come up with another idea, or other residents can come up with an idea and bring it to council. An actual freestanding mural or a painting or whatever that can be hung in the city might be much easier to do it safely and still make the same point. So I think they shouldn't take this as a rejection of Black Lives Matter, just that the means they want to do it may not be the best for the city. Thanks.
Yep, good point. Yep, and to Ms. Crowley, I would say be in touch, and we will see, what other options are available to express your views. That's fair. Anything else? Seeing none, let's go ahead and move on to the next issue. City Council will be asked to consider the introduction of a set of text amendments to Section 601.16, Section 601.0 of the zoning ordinance.
You supposed to vote on it?
If you're not on, you might want to remind people to be on mute.
Yeah, maybe we just make sure your phones are muted. We're getting a little background noise from somebody. So, thank you, whoever just did. That was perfect.
You want an introduction, Mayor, or did you want a motion first?
Let's get a motion. Did that come through?
You might want to call.
Did that come through, guys? I don't know if you guys heard that, the last one.
You might want to just restate what number we're
Hold
on.
on, Joe's gone.
This is Joe Reeser. I'll make a motion to consider the introduction of a set of text amendments to Section 601.16 and Section 601.20 of the zoning ordinance.
George Fleeper, I second.
Very good. We have a motion. We have a second. Kate, go ahead and tell us what we're doing.
Sure. So the introduction of the zoning ordinance amendments before the council tonight are for the residential, to regulate the residential use in the central business district. What these 2 text amendments would provide is that in upper story living in the 2nd and 3rd floor, above an existing commercial or above a new commercial use, would allow for residential living by right. Currently, right now, it's a special land use, and under RRC, which is Redevelopment Ready Community, which we are engaged with, we are trying to get certified. This is one of the recommendations that they promote to encourage more housing options. Currently, as like I said, this is a special land use. If a person wants to put an apartment above a store, they have to go through a set number of special land conditions, go through a process with the Planning Commission. If you mention it, if you change it by right, this does not, and I should be clear about this, this does not ask for residential living on the 1st floor in either 16 or 20. Those restrictions for commercial use on the 1st floor stay in place. All this does is remove the special land use. So if you say, hey, I want to have an apartment up here on this 2nd floor, it's now by right.
Okay. And this connects directly to redevelopment ready, but it also makes sense. I mean, we've allowed this.
It does make sense, and yes, it is. And why is redevelopment ready communities so important? That's the new mechanism that the state is using to have communities be engaged and follow their standards for developing their communities, and it's tied to grant funding. If you're not engaged or certified, you may not be eligible for certain grant funding in the future.
And then, so public comment 6370777 with this topic as well as any others. Again, 6370777 on this. We'll give a minute to let that happen.
Okay, we'll give a minute.
And this has been viewed by all boards, commissions, everything.
Yes, Planning Commission reviewed this. I think George can speak to that at the Planning Commission level. I believe they've had 2 months at it because there was a kind of an improper, it was not correctly done at the first time, their notice, so they saw it for 2 months. I believe that's correct, George.
Okay, very good. As we're waiting for public comment, any other council questions for Kate? All's quiet. No public comments called in, right?
Mr. Mayor.
None?
Yes, Jeff.
Hi, it's Jeff Arnold. And I just want to restate it. Kate said it very well, but just to restate it, because the pushback that I got from the public was they thought this would create apartments on the ground level in the residential downtown and in the commercial downtown. And we're saying that's not what this is about. This is for the existing businesses to put apartments upstairs if they want to, right? I guess I'm just trying to say it again in simple terms.
No, that's good. Yep, this allows what's currently happening to happen. Basically.
Right. If people look to page 85 and 86 of the packet, you can see where the strike language is. And the language to be struck says, for 16, one or more dwelling units located above a permitted use, comma, when authorized as a special land use. So that would be stricken out, then would make it as a by right.
Just
similarly on page.
Yeah, just a quick.
Did you have?
Yes. So this next section, section 20, actually does apply to ground floor units because it's the multifamily, but it does not apply to anything on Phoenix Street, Center Street, or Broadway Street. So under this, I mean, it's already allowed as a special use. What this would be doing is allowing ground floor as part of a multifamily development in the CBD, but not on those 3 main streets. So if the council wanted to get rid of the revision to 20, but keep the revision to 16, that would be possible. But just to clarify, that the provision 20 does apply to ground floor units.
Okay.
Which are already allowed under special land use.
Correct.
So, yes.
Okay. That makes sense to me. And it keeps off the big.
Right. Phoenix Center Street and Broadway are main thoroughfares. Those are streets that we had already identified as being absolutely no residential on the first floor.
Okay.
Mr.
Any
Curcio?
other?
Yeah, this is Steve Slack. I have a possible legal question. Just because we make that change in the zoning ordinance and give them the right to live there, they would still have to follow normal zoning and stuff. They couldn't just pull a permit and they can live in conditions that are maybe not so good.
Right. So site plan review would still be required for these, I believe. Is that correct, Kate? I think it's required for all buildings in CBD. It's my memory. I can double check. Yeah, I think these would still be commission, just not under special use process.
Kate, were you part of the discussion to do, I mean, why only those 3 streets? Why they didn't say all streets in the CBD for the main floor dwelling?
Well, I think that it was also kind of acknowledging that we already do have that. So on Quaker Street, which was right behind Pierre City Hall, we have dockside apartments. So clearly that's an established use that does have that on their first floor. And what I did kind of often notice is that we do have primary streets in our downtown. Center Street, Phoenix Street, and Broadway are main arteries of the downtown. And I think it kind of acknowledges that Quaker Street, maybe even Eagle Street, William Street, could be places where there could be more of a mix of ground floor residential because they're not arterial streets, if you will.
Yep. So sticking to those kind of the big three. That was
Yeah.
kind of the thought process. Perfect. I just think it's good for people to understand kind of the thought process.
Did you want the caller to come up?
Oh, did we get one?
We got another caller, yes.
Okay, go. Yep, there we go. Let's get
We'll
a
ask
call.
that caller to be pulled up.
We have one public comment call coming in.
Hello, caller. You're on the line with the council. If you can state your name and your address, you'll have 5 minutes. Please go ahead, and when you're done with your comment, just say you're finished.
Okay. Hi, it's Wendy Onuki again at 315 Prospect Street. So thank you for clarifying the changes that you want made. I think what Jeff said is true, but then, yeah, a lot of us are probably having a problem with number 20 and opening that up for apartment buildings and condos. I can imagine that would be outside of those 3 preserved streets, but would still really change the feel of downtown. And I would like to see those preserved for business, and if they want apartments above them, that's fine. But I just think that's better for our community for a lot of reasons. And I did send an email earlier saying that also. So that is all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I
All
appreciate
right,
it.
thank you.
And I do understand. I do understand that concern. I do.
Sure.
That's legitimate concern, and I think it's one we have to weigh.
So does the council then want to just consider 16 and not 20? Because really 20 right now still says that you can have first floor residential by special land use. That is, the only change would be by right. But does the council then doesn't want first floor residential in any city street then in the downtown? Is that where the council's at? I guess I'm just looking for guidance for staff.
This is Chris Campbell. I don't think we need 20. Personally, I think if there is something that comes up and someone goes for a special land use, then it could be evaluated. But in the aspect of downtown and being a downtown business, I would like to see more businesses. So.
Anybody else? So we would need to substitute out that motion and exclude 20?
Yeah, it would just be the motion to do the text amendment for 60116.
This is Steve Black.
Go ahead.
This is just the introduction. We have to post it and everything yet, correct?
We would have to have a public hearing at our next meeting. Yes, we don't have to do a public notice. That's already been done at the planning commission level. Correct, Nick?
I would suggest doing it now, how it's motioned, and then just do the final motion after the public hearing and public comment. Thank you.
Okay, fine.
My memory is with zoning amendments, they're supposed to go back to the planning commission for a report when the council makes a change. I'm looking to confirm that now, but I think that's the process that the city ordinances require. But you could go ahead and just, for purposes of this meeting, just suggest that change be made, and if it needs to go back to planning commission, staff can do that. And I think actually staff could probably do it before your next meeting. So.
Okay, we have George.
Oh, George, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we weren't going to be foul of the redevelopment ready intention of trying to get in line with the redevelopment ready statement and by just changing 16 but not changing 20. And so maybe going back to the planning commission would be a better approach.
We can do that. Plus, we'll have staff reach out to the RRC staff and see if this change would be in line with theirs. Since this really is not just all use above a commercial use, but it's a ground floor dwelling. So we can definitely look into that further.
So leave this as is for motion tonight. That'll get it where we need to go. So if that pleases the group, we'll go ahead and we'll motion this up as is. We'll have staff do a little bit of work and see what would happen if we were to look at pulling out that one item due to ground floor, assuming there's enough concern of the entire council to pull that out. So why don't we go ahead if there's no other questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second to introduce the set of text amendments to section 601-16 and 601-20. Let's do a roll call.
Schlack,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. That takes us to City Council. We asked to receive an update from Public Works Director Bill Hunter on the following proposed project areas: Monroe Boulevard and Water Street. Good evening again, Bill.
Thank you, Your Honor, City Council. Today, my intent is just to present to City Council two observation summaries, one of Water Street and the other one of Monroe Boulevard. We hired Edgewater Resources to do these observation summaries, similar to what they did to for City Council for Dunkley, where they did an observation and they made like 4 recommendations. They also did the same thing on the end of North Shore Drive. So I just want to go over with City Council the observations, they what they observed and some of the recommendations. Now, mind you, anything in this report none of it is in the fiscal year current budget right now, nor am I saying that anything needs to happen right now. This is just for discussion and review with City Council, and hopefully get some input from City Council. First one I'd like to go over is the Water Street report. The Water Street report was actually split up in 2 sections. There's a western portion and an eastern portion. I'd like to go over the eastern portion first. The eastern portion, within that one is the new stairs that were put in, plus the dumpster enclosure. So that gives you a little bit of a reference point. According to the report, you can actually, Edgewater mentions the hill itself. This is just the grassy section. There's a lot of lumps and bumps into it, meaning you're having some slough off of the hill itself. They're not sure what that's due to. It could be an example of some of the surface runoff, or it could be hydraulically, the water coming in. So they made a few recommendations. One of them actually, and similar to what they did to the other reports, is don't do anything and just observe. And if something does happen, react to it. That's your cheapest one, of course, because that's 0. Your second one was do a planting plan along the hill itself. And they're coming up with approximately 35,000. So these plants, I would vision, would be deep root. That would actually hold the base of the hill in. And I suspect they probably wouldn't be tall plants. We're probably talking some medium size, because of course we want to be cognitive of any kind of view shed in that area, because there's a lot of people that go to that area just for the view. Another one was actually installing I like to call it almost a drainage system, but a collection system, where you would actually put pipes that would be up and down the hill, so perpendicular to Water Street, with a collection pipe in the bottom. What that would do is actually so it'd be down about 2 feet. So it'd be a sock pipe. So it's going to take that water, hydraulic water, put it to a collection system and discharge it to our storm. The most expensive one, of course, is extending the wall, similar that's on the western portion to the east. And you're looking at $550,000. I'm going to restate this again. Right now, I don't see anything right now. It's like we have to do this. This is just for discussion and review with City Council. The western portion, that's where you have the existing walls right now. First step, of course, is to do nothing but monitor. And we've already took the first steps in monitoring. We actually hired Mitchell Morris to shoot some shots of the wall, because you read in the report, the walls aren't supposed to be like this. They should be kind of like this. And that's some of the concern right now, is that the walls are like this right now. And are they susceptible due to pressure? them starting to come back. So we had hired Mitchell, and we're going to keep observing it. So we already did that. The next step would be actually, if we chose to do this, would be rebuilding the wall, but in the means of just pulling it apart. So pulling it brick by brick, being very careful, and adjusting the slope so it goes more like this, rebuilding it. Now, doing part two, you may discover actually that maybe the geogrid, because when you're building those walls and you stagger them like this, there's a geogrid, and think of it as a chain link fence, but of course it's just geotextile, and it goes into there, and that actually anchors the wall itself. So about every, and Greg's online, and he might correct me, and feel free to do so, Greg. They're going to be about every third going in. So that's your anchor system. So we might discover that that's all tore up and failing. And that means actually we would have to go to a more expensive, which would be and I believe that's close to $900,000. Like I said, there's nothing, I'm not asking City Council for anything right now. It's not in the capital plan. This is, again, just for discussion and review. The next one is the Monroe Bluff. I had Greg look at Monroe Bluff because I wanted to get ahead just in case water levels maintain or get higher, to look at possible, of course, observations and possible shoreline protections, or what we could do in Monroe Bluff. When I talk about Monroe Bluff, I'm talking about Monroe Bluff, the blue stairs, the brown stairs, right around that area from the South Beach all the way to the property 742 Monroe. So again, the first one is just do observations and then react actually to anything that might happen. Your next one is temporary measures. Even your temporary measures, we're talking about grout bags. You're looking at probably $1.8 million. That's just for temporary. Mind you, you're still going to have to get a permit from the DEQ Army Corps, and they're still going to want a permanent solution. They might approve this temporary means, but then they want something. What are you going to do that's going to prevent this from happening any further? And last but not least is an armor stone revetment. It'd be similar to what was already started at 742. So, and we're looking at probably, that'd be $5.1 million. So again, Greg, you're online right now? Greg? I think we might have lost him. Oh, well, okay. Well,
I'm here.
Okay, Greg, sorry, man. I gave him the Reader's Digest version. Greg, do you want to expand on anything on the two reports?
No, I think you've got it pretty well nailed. I think the key with Monroe Bluff is that you've got, sorry, weird voice thing here going on. So the key with Monroe Bluff is that we did the Monroe beach management plan several years ago and looked at that area, and the community was quite comfortable with the idea of a natural shoreline, which meant that in some years you have a big beach and some years you have a small beach. And I've got a drone video from 2017 and 2020, and it's really dramatic. You see the bluff has stopped eroding for the most part due to a very low existing steel sheet pile wall that you can see down at the south end. And it's remarkable how just this little 24-inch high steel wall there has armored and anchored the toe of that slope and just enough to keep that bluff in place. It doesn't mean it's permanent or a perfect solution. A big enough storm could overtop that easily, but it has stopped the erosion. So right now we've peaked for the year with our water level with any luck. We have peaked, and we should see the water go down about a foot. Yeah, everybody cross your fingers. And, this is a situation if the water continues to go down, and also we have a nice cover this year, we should see a lot and a lot less erosion. The vast majority of the erosion you've heard about all summer was caused by the fact that we had almost no ice last winter. And so a couple with no ice means the wave attack on the beach was much, much higher than normal. So I guess at this point, observation probably is certainly it's the most cost-effective approach, and we're not seeing. It seems to have stopped. This little bit of a steel sheet pile has sort of given us this section that has given us a place to look at. So I would monitor it for now. If we see it get worse, we can take action pretty quickly. But it's a they asked for several years ago. This idea of nobody wants to put an armor stone revetment and look at rock instead of beach. Now I would say this: if we do end up putting armor stone revetment in there, I very much believe that as the water levels recede, you will see that armor stone get buried in the sand. Because as Bill, how much it takes you? A month to clear all the sand off the South Beach parking lot and the North Beach parking lot?
Yes, a good month. Good month.
So that process will naturally reaccumulate sand over top of this rock in the future, and then this rock would be there in place at points of future high water. But as of today, it's I don't see imminent risk to the infrastructure other than at the very south end by the home there, and that's already been addressed. So.
Okay. Very good.
The city
Bill, anything
council.
else from you?
No, I was just going to ask if anybody had any questions.
George.
So, Bill, I do appreciate you taking the time to put together this report and getting Edgewater involved. I have looked at the property at the top of, I'm speaking now on the eastern part of Water Street, that report. And I've walked down that property with the property owner at the top of that bluff, and they've been there for several years, and they've reported that there has been a loss of some of the bluff, such that if you look at the picture, their little circular patio there has got cracking in it where it didn't, initially when they put it in. And there's less. They have some hedges that kind of border right at their patio level. And there's before there used to be land on the other side of the hedges. Now it's just slope. So I think there is something going on there, and I don't think we need to do anything immediately, but I would like to see something in a future budget to look at addressing that, because I'm worried if we wait and get too reactive, then it's going to be more expensive.
I kind of like the option, George, the managed vegetation and the managed runoff and vegetation option. I kind of like that. If you look at this, I mean, right now it's just grass holding that up. The root system on there is maybe 3 inches. Putting a planting plan in there and then managing the runoff, because there's a couple of downspouts in there that need to be connected. So I think the combination of those, would probably be pretty good for the stabilize that hill.
I think we need to manage the runoff from the home, because and I'm not certain of this, but it certainly appears that some of the downspouts are draining at the top of that slope, but they're just sheet draining down, and that allows for that hillside to slump a little bit. So if we connected that to a pipe down into the drain at the bottom, and then added deep root materials, I think we could stabilize that pretty reasonable cost, certainly compared to building walls.
No.
Bill?
Sure.
Steve Slack here. I was wondering, Bill, if there was in the past previous budgets or something, wasn't there some kind of a vegetation funds or something for that area that have not been used or partially used or something? Was there something in the past on that?
We did have it in a capital plan a few years back as a vegetation plan, and it was a similar cost actually to what Greg came up with at the $35,000. I don't think we used it at that time, and I don't think I put it back in the budget, but I can put it back into the coming budget. I could do that.
Thank you. I would at least like the rest of council to at least get familiar with that program, and possibly the next budget take a look at that too as well, as Mr. Sleeper said. So thank you.
I will put it in my notes, sir.
Very good. Yeah, and Bill, I would concur. I would much rather see that area planted. I'm a fan of making it look natural, and that would shore it up. So that would make good sense to me, and I would agree we should at least get it in the budget so we can keep an eye on it.
Sir.
All right. Very good. Any other questions? If not, we'll head on. All right. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Greg. Next, City Council will receive an update on the Overton request for proposal, the RFP process, as well as look at the evaluation committee. And just as a reminder to the public, this is, housing is our top priority. So this is a very important, step for us to be talking about these proposals, and I'm excited that we're talking about them. So Kate, tell us about what we got. I know we got one more ad for our committee too, so that's my
Sure.
fault.
Let me get Ryan Kilpatrick on the phone while I start talking here.
Hello, this is Ryan.
Hi, Ryan. This is Kate. We just started talking about the Overton RFP process update and evaluation committee, so I'm going to start giving just the rundown of my staff report, and I'll ask you to jump in there.
All right, sounds good.
So we have gone through the RFP process where it has been posted. We have received 3 timely and complete submissions. As part of the evaluation process, Ryan and myself kind of came up with it, and of course Mayor Smith came up with the idea of having an evaluation committee made up of neighbors, city council, planning commission, John Gill, the housing commission, to kind of look at these submitted developers and review their submissions, interview the developers, and ultimately make a recommendation to council. One of the things that they'll be looking at are, how their ability to execute the process or project, whether or not the project that they're coming up with is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. And so that's what we're looking at here. The evaluation committee is in the packet, and if you haven't had a look at there, we can read them off. Brian, is there anything else you wanted to add about this process?
No, I think that's really well summarized, Kate. I think this process is really about making sure that there is a representative voice at the table for multiple stakeholders across the community, and that there's a relatively open process for interviewing the candidates and making a recommendation for the city council to choose their preferred developer.
Sounds good. And you got the extra name to add in there too?
Yes, it looks like we are going to add someone from the business community, the Albemarle.
Yep, Albemarle.
Okay.
We've had multiple discussions with Albemarle, Vibroacoustics, and I wanted to make sure we had somebody on this committee that were represented. One of the businesses that's going to be looking for housing and Vibroacoustic, Albemarle, both right nearby this development, I think would be beneficial. So talk to somebody from Albemarle today who is willing to themselves or somebody else join in. So we will add the name Albemarle. I know you put Jackie's name down there, but if she can't make it, someone will.
Okay. Is there any other comment? I think that we've come up with a really good plan with a really wide range of neighbors who are adjacent to the community, and it looks like a lot of interest in the project. So.
And again, the council ultimately makes this decision. This committee is just providing guidance to the council. So just so we're all clear that's again,
that's right.
It's guidance to this group. So with that, I guess we're just looking for maybe a motion to approve the evaluation committee with the addition of a representative from Albemarle.
That's right.
This is George Sleeper. I make a motion to approve the Overton Evaluation Committee members as listed in the agenda packet with the addition of the Albemarle person.
This is Joe Reeser. I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Why don't we go ahead? Are there any other questions of this group about the process, about the committee? Seeing none, this is a roll call.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Schlack,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. That takes us to
Yeah, you're welcome.
the city manager search update. Is Kim still nearby up there? I think she's in the Upper Peninsula. We've got to see if our connection is up north of the bridge.
I am still here.
There she
yes.
is.
Calling from the great UP.
Nice. How was your drop off today?
11 hours on the road. So we were very happy to get here.
Wow, that's amazing. Very good. Is it snowing?
No, thank goodness it's not. It's beautiful. It's mid 70s.
Oh, perfect. All right. All right. So tell us, city manager search update. Can you? I know you sent us some information. Maybe just update the council, the public, so we know where we're at.
Sure. So I did send a little document to the city council just to kind of give a better understanding of the different processes that are going along in this, the search committee versus the interview panel, the focus group members, and what city council will be doing. So which each little wheel is going to be doing as we move along in this process. We did post the position. It went out to numerous newspapers, MLive, the Michigan Municipal League, 30 different colleges, which is reaching out to their alumni as well, including 7 historically Black colleges and universities. That position is going to close on August 28th. And so I do expect to see a good number of applicants for this position. Currently, we have 9. And again, we have another week and a half for the position to be open. So I expect to see a good number of applicants.
Very good. So, and then you're going to be with us later for the closed session as well.
Correct. So one thing I did talk about was that the search committee has sent a list of names for an interview panel. And so that is something that I would like to discuss with council now. The names for the folks that would be on the interview panel for the first round interviews. Some of the names they sent, and it was in the survey results I sent earlier, but included Eddie Polk, Claudia Maddox, Stephanie Timmer, Ross Stein, Bob Straits, Joe Alleman, and then Mayor Smith. Now, these are names that different people threw out. As I spoke about previously, you really only want to have 5 people on that interview panel as a max, because otherwise you're going to have too many. So I would like to have council discuss who they would like to see on that first round of interviews. If there's other names they would like to suggest, I'm very open to hear those as well.
Okay. I guess I'm going to be, Kim, do I need to be included in that first round? I'm going to be there already. So you still want me plus 4, or do you want 5 addition?
I think you plus 4.
Okay. I know, having set in on the process, any thoughts on others? I know Eddie Polk, I think, everyone on here is wonderful, so there's really no good or bad. I think Eddie would provide some good insight. Ross Stein.
I think Bob Straits is really, he would be very beneficial having gone through this process previously. I would very much support Bob. And then, like you said, Eddie Polk with his HR background. I think that he would also be a very strong person to have on the panel.
Yeah, I would agree. And just a reminder to the council, these will kind of be providing backdrop to our thoughts on these candidates. So yeah, I guess I would tend to, I would agree. Bob would provide a lot of good insight, having been through several of them.
Mm-hmm. Ross Stein was very helpful when we did the Shays group, or when we did the Shays Executive Search Committee. So that's another thought there.
Yep. And then round it out possibly with Stephanie Timmer. So I guess my initial thought would be probably Eddie, Polk, Ross Stein, Bob Straits, and Stephanie Timmer, having talked to several of the members in the group. So that would be my initial blush knowing everyone else will get involved throughout. And do you want to explain kind of what this group gets to do, Kim, kind of what this group will be doing separate from the others?
The interview panel, yes, they would be doing the first round of interviews with the candidates to weed it down so then the council could interview the finalists.
Okay. So we're trying, and go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to mention, Ross Stein. I think Ross Stein's a great addition. I know I think it was Tim Stegman called, and he had questions about having Ross involved. But I think his role with the township, because we do have to work hand in hand with the township, our police provides coverage to the township. I think Ross is a good voice that we need to have involved. Also, he's got the past practice of helping hire the police chief and the fire chief. So I think Ross is a good addition. And then my next thing would just be a question for Kim. So this initial group that we're coming up with, they'd bring us 3 or 4. Do we have a number of what we would like? And also, could we not have that be a hard and fast number? Because if there's 5 people that blow their socks off, let's bring all 5. But did you have a number in mind? That's my question.
I don't have a number just for that reason. If you have, if you have 3 or 4 that are really great, strong candidates, I would prefer that council see them all. That would be my preference.
All right.
Mayor Smith, this is George Sleeper. I think that the people that Kim suggests for that interview panel are great. I know a lot of them, and I would not want to tie her hands with any particular number or any particular name. I think that she's got the right idea, and I'm good with just letting her run with it.
Mr. Mayor, Steve Slack.
Steve, go ahead.
Just probably a question for Kimberly Wise. Wondering why the reasoning just for 5 people for the initial interview panel? The reasoning behind that?
Just when you get to have interview boards, if you have too many people there, it gets a little overwhelming for the candidate. If you have 5, you want to have odd numbers in case of any tiebreakers. And then as you go through, you're going to be asking each candidate the same question. So they'll have assigned questions that they're asking along the way.
And then once the final few or 4 or 5, however many great candidates we have and want to forward to council, the whole council will be interviewing them in a public format, correct?
Correct. All of the interviews have to be in a public format.
Okay, thank you.
Correct.
And I would like to
and
also...
just remind me.
Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to say, just reminding council that again, you'll have access to all the resumes. Whatnot, we'll make sure everyone has access to get eyes on the council. I mean, just to make sure this will stay very open to the council.
And
ahead,
with
Kim.
that in mind, I would like to request a special meeting. The job posting comes down on August 28th. If it works for council, I would like to request a special meeting on August 31st so that the council members could meet with the search committee to review all of the applications.
To get that out in the calendar. Oh, it's an off Monday. It's a long month. Okay. Seems reasonable. We can schedule that in. We need a motion to schedule that meeting.
What time?
We assuming 7 p.m. Normal 7 p.m. or they want to meet a little earlier?
You need a motion?
Sure, make a motion to meet on the 31st.
I'll make a motion for city council to have a special meeting on August 31st at 7 p.m. to review all the applications.
George Sleeper, I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for the meeting on August 31st at 7 p.m. to discuss, to review the applications. Let's do, any other questions? Seeing none, let's do a roll call.
Wilkins?
Yes.
Arnold?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Reeser?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Sleeper?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes. I think. Kim, that give you enough direction to get going?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kim. Enjoy. Safe travels.
Mr. Mayor,
That
did
takes
we
us
need
to the
a
next
motion for the
item.
committee? Did you need a
Actually,
motion?
if someone's willing, if you're willing to make one, go ahead. Yes.
Well, I heard different names for the interview committee. I just didn't know if you got the okay to do that or if you needed a motion.
Yeah, Georgia made a comment and then no one commented, but if you're willing to make one, let's go ahead and we can give her a list of 4 names. That's great.
I guess I'll make a motion to give the mayor the authority to set the interview committee up as the names that were mentioned.
Jeff Arnold, a second.
All right. So motion and a second to set up the interview panel as we discussed earlier. Let's just go. So I had for certain Eddie Polk, Ross Stein, Bob Straits, Stephanie Timmer, and myself. So let's go ahead and roll call.
Arnold?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Reeser?
Yes.
Schlack?
Yes.
Sleeper?
Yes.
Wilkins?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes. All right. Next, we're at that point in the agenda where a citizen in the audience will be heard on items not on the agenda. Number to call in is 637-0777. You'll be given up to 5 minutes to address your concerns. We will give you a 1-minute warning sign when you got a minute, and then we'll hit the mute button. So if you want to call and chat about something that's not on our agenda, please give us a call. Again, 637-0777. And while we're waiting, we assume we will continue to have virtual meetings, or at least the next meeting should be virtual. We're waiting for some guidance from the governor's office to see if we can get more people in a public space. So at this point in time, these meetings will continue to be virtual, unfortunately, for at least another couple weeks.
And we'll just hold for another 30 seconds to see if there's any public comment because of the 1-minute delay. And it looks like we have one on. Hello, caller. You're on with the council. If you can state your name and your address, you'll have 5 minutes. At the end of your comment, if you can state that you are finished, go ahead.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Thanks for taking my call. My name is Rosalie Placati, 559 Monroe Boulevard. I'm calling this evening to clarify and apologize to anyone who took offense to something I said at the Planning Commission this past Thursday. In my passion of explaining safety and ordinances, and in the context of enforcement, I said, putting police on the beach was a waste of time and money. So once again, my foot actually fits well into my mouth, and especially on air and on record. So please let me explain. First of all, I support the police department 110%. I think Chief Thompson and her officers do an excellent job managing the city and keeping us safe with all the challenges a summer town can bring. I was trying to illustrate that more men and women, more man and women power is needed in enforcement, and that our highly trained and experienced police officers might have more pressing business. I'm sure they agree walking and talking to residents is a wonderful idea and a much needed relationship builder in the big picture when there is time. And that's all I meant. I would support adding to Chief Thompson's workforce to include community safety officers in some form. The same excuse of no part-time officers to hire is becoming tiring. I would encourage y'all to think outside the box. Thank you for listening. And since I don't see Chief Thompson there, I will drop her a note tomorrow. So thank you all. Good night.
Thanks, Rosalie. All right. Anybody else out there?
No other callers.
Okay. All right. That takes us to city manager comments.
Okay, Mayor and council members, we are working on getting a facilitator in and scheduling a time for the council to meet and go over your community vision and mission statement. This is item 12 of your priorities. There's a number of very qualified facilitators around the area that have already worked on other cities' mission statements and community vision. So we'll be working on somebody like that, and of course, scheduling time for the council to have a meeting, an open workshop with the local community. I also wanted to mention that over the weekend we had the men's bathroom vandalized at Stanley Johnson Park. If you do receive complaints that the bathroom is not open, it's because, well, the sink and other things are ripped off the wall. So it'll be closed until we can get that fixed. And then I did want to say a good shout out to Bruce Thatcher and the Star of the Lake Lodge. The salute to veterans that was held this weekend was very, very nice. They did an excellent job, excellent timing. And that was really to honor our first responders, honor veterans, and honor our first frontline essential workers. And there was also a special tribute to Bob Philibert at the same time. So very nice event at the American Legion this Saturday.
Very good. All right. Any questions for us? Ms. Kate? All's quiet up there. All right, let's go around and see what people have to say. We're now to that point in time where we'll do mayor and councilperson comments. So let's go ahead and start with Letitia.
Jeez, I was hoping I was last, but I just want to make a quick, I just want to make a quick comment on mayor and fellow councilman. I was just wondering, where are we as far as the procedures and hiring practices that we had discussed about a month ago? And so that's my question to the mayor and city manager and fellow councilman. I also want to say to Katie, I appreciate how she has been keeping me abreast of whatever is going on, especially in Ward 1 and the things that are going on in the city of South Haven. And I wish her the best. That is my comment for tonight.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, Letitia, my comment on the hiring would just, I think Kim gave us a pretty good update.
Well, not for the
session or the session.
Not for the city manager. Not for the city manager.
She gave us an update on some of the initiatives she's put in place. So I guess, I think that's, is there any comments you would have on that? I feel she's put several initiatives in place. I think we as a council have discussed some of the initiatives that are in place. And I think at this point in time,
I think Councilman Wilkins is asking if there's going to be a session scheduled to go over to see further change.
Yes.
What I think you're saying?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. I guess we'll have to have that discussion as far as like council interested in having a separate workshop on hiring.
Practice.
So I guess we'll have to hiring practice whatnot. Gotcha. Over and above what Kim's currently got going on.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's put that on a to be discussed. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. Very good. Sounds good. Thank you. Chris Campbell.
No comments tonight.
All right, very good. Mr. Reeser.
First, I would like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Kate, if the two of you are the one helping us push this along. But I'm so glad we have a consultant and we're going to address the mission statement, because I think it would help the city considerably and be beneficial for all residents to see what this city stands for and have it in writing. I would like to remind the council, the mayor, and Kate and Kim that I would like to see a diversity committee, not a diversity manager, but a committee that oversees the whole issue of diversity hiring in the city. Last thing, I want to thank the retailers and the restaurants in South Haven. I think they're doing a great job requiring masks and social distancing. And I personally feel safe when I go into the stores and to the restaurants. So I think they're doing a great job under very difficult situations. Thanks.
Very good. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, I'd agree. I think they are doing well. And I actually have had some discussions with Kim about that diversity committee concept. We've had those discussions. So I think we're going to get there. All right. Very good. Thank you again. Let's go to Steve. Welcome back.
I'm not sure if Bill Hunter's still on the line or not, but I'm just wondering for an update on Dunkley Avenue. I see the water's gone. Not sure if there's any plan on taking them down the barricades so boats can get to the launch ramp easier. Just a question, and that's my only comment.
Okay. It looks like he is not on, but I will follow up with him tomorrow and get you an answer there, Steve. I've heard that comment from other people that it looks dry, so maybe we should be able to drive through there. So I'll get you an answer tomorrow, and I'll send it out to the entire council.
Thank you. I'm hearing that a lot as well.
Yeah. I'm getting a lot as well. My kid goes down there all the time to work. For Chris, let's go ahead and go with George.
All right. So I just am excited about the request for proposals for the Overton project. So I'm excited to see where that goes. That's my only comment.
I would agree. Thank you. All right, Mr. Campbell.
You already got me.
I did?
Yeah.
Did I? Good job. Who did I miss?
Me.
Oh, Jeff.
Yeah. Well, hello.
All right.
I have two comments this evening, and my first one is a little self-serving. I just want to say congratulations to the South Haven Education Association, the Teachers Union, and the South Haven Public School Board and Kevin Schooley that last Thursday they reached a tentative agreement on the teachers' contract. The teachers are having a ratifying vote just today. I anticipate it's going to be ratified. It's just really nice. I watch Channel 3 News and I see that teachers unions in the Kalamazoo area are at odds with their school boards over COVID. And it was just really, really nice to have Kevin Schooley and a school board that was willing to talk to the teachers, talk to the parents, get all the stakeholders' concerns taken into consideration for this contract and for how to open this school year. Just really, really great leadership coming from the South Haven Public Schools right now. So I just wanted to kind of publicly acknowledge that. And as I said, a little self-serving as I'm one of the teachers. But then my second comment is about the Black Lives Matter mural on the street. I didn't comment when we were having that time. I find this format really awkward. It's hard for us to have a good discussion. But my concerns are what was expressed by everybody else. I just feel like we don't have enough feedback. I put some feelers out there trying to get some input from stakeholders, from the voters, and it was mixed, split right down the middle. Some people were absolutely, yes, this needs to happen, to other people saying, because the city didn't think of it, it was a hollow gesture, that how will we maintain it? What happens if someone defaces it? Would that do more damage to the relationships in the communities? And so I really feel like we need to do more investigating on that. And for Mrs. Crowley, or Miss Crowley, if you've never dealt with city council before, we didn't say no. We just didn't take any action because it sounds like we all want some more information. So, don't give up. It's still an important message and an important cause, but we just weren't ready to act tonight. And those are my comments.
Very good. Thank you, Jeff. And good luck the next few weeks as you and Letitia get ready for the school year. Lots to do. My comments would really just, one, having seen the change of Monroe Boulevard from no sidewalks to sidewalks, it's just nice to see them being used. We have bikers and people on the sidewalks, and it's just very encouraging. I get comments every day on how nice it is to be off the street when people are walking. Reminding the public to continue to be diligent with face mask use and social distancing. I know this is getting old. We're all sick of it, but let's hope we stick to it and we can get it done. I also would like to, as Kate mentioned, the flyover with the hooligans and but just thank the Star of the Lake Lodge 158 here in South Haven and Saugatuck Lodge 328 for all the work they do to make something like that come happen. Very good. Had a note here from the Rotary, Mr. Daniel Thompson. They had their virtual virtual fundraiser. Instead of pancake breakfast, which they normally would do, they raised $9,000 in 90 minutes using the Huron Street Pavilion. So this was just a note thanking us for the use of that pavilion. It's a great addition. And really, that's about it. So we'll be concluding our normal meeting. We are going to go into a closed session. Just so folks watching realize, we will stop our video portion at this time. I will seek a motion for the City Council to go into closed session pursuant to Section 8F and HH to discuss interview questions exempt from disclosure pursuant to Section 13(1)K of the Freedom of Information Act. So I just need a motion, a second to do that.
This is Steve Schlack. I'll make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Section 8F and 8H.
Jeff Arnold, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. There's no other discussion. This will be a roll call.
Arnold?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Reeser?
Yes.
Schlack?
Yes.
Sleeper?
Yes.
Wilkins?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so that will end the audio. Kate's out of here. All right.
And the public.
And the public's out of here. Very good.